Okay. I'm going to give you kind of like the best synopsis of the readings as I can, but I highly suggest reading it so you have a better understanding than what I'm going to give you, because it might sound a little bit like gobbledygook. So, anyhow, all right. So the decade that we almost stopped climate change, like we almost had this moment in time where we wouldn't be in the position that we are in. Like we almost had a moment where we were like, we almost saved ourselves. We almost saved ourselves, right? Okay, so um, all of this came about in February 1979 at the first World Climate Conference in Geneva. So there was this moment in time where we were like, y'all, these emissions are going to destroy us. We need to do something about it. And so here, scientists from 50 nations agreed unanimously, all together, that it was urgently necessary, it was wildly necessary that we do something now. Like we need to get our shit together and we need to act, because this is like the emissions are there, it's not looking good. It gets better. Okay, so 4 months later, after this Geneva Convention, there's called a Group of Seven meeting that was held in Tokyo, and the leaders of the world, of the seven wealthiest nations, signed a statement to resolve and reduce carbon emissions. Like the wealthiest nations came together, like, here's the thing, we're gonna do something about it. We're like, we got this, we're gonna do this. Okay, here's the problem with that. By the way, this is in 1979. 10 years later, so it's taken 10 years later, the first major diplomatic meeting. Please read that the other article, especially towards the end, because this is the part that just makes your heart kind of sink. Okay, so 10 years later, we're all coming together. There's a diplomatic meeting in Denmark, in the Netherlands, right? And the whole point of this is to come together and find the framework of how we can do this. We can do this. Why? We have the framework. We have this thing to step towards to save ourselves. Like, yes, this is awesome. Okay. During the time, this is the Bush era, Bush Senior, not Bush Junior, Bush Senior era, and his platform was actually on environmentalism. Can you believe that, right? Like nowadays, we can't imagine a Republican going towards environment, but at the time, Bush was doing that because he saw that there was a lot of power, and then he's like, oh, I'm for the environment. Let's do something. Whether or not politicians ever actually follow through is whatever. But anyway, that was his platform. We are going to do something about this. So now Bush Senior is a president, and he's got a lot of chief of staffs and people who are like going to go to Denmark and speak. Sunuu is one of the guys too. And Sanuu's, it's his assistant, I believe, named Bromley, is all a part of this. So anyway, they're going to the Netherlands, and delegates from more than 60 nations in total, are at this goal of establishing what they call the Global Summit Meeting. That's this whole thing. And their hope is that they can get all this information and framework together to save us from ourselves. And all it is just reducing emissions. It's not a huge deal. We've got an opportunity here. We can do it slowly, like it's not that big of a deal. Okay. During this time and during this global summit, which is held, we have a lot of people going in. We have people from the United States that are there. And Sunuu sends in Bromley. And Bromley goes into this meeting, and he is literally throwing a wrench in the works. And it is a mess. And they're in there for hours trying to delegate, like, we got to figure this out. And here's Bromley he's just kind of messing around with all the, a couple of the different leaders of the nation, but they need they need a majority, and he's messing around in there. And at one point, some of the people are coming out to take a break because they've been in there for hours trying to figure this out. And one of the scientists is out there going, what's going on? And they're like, you need to tell your guy to stop. Like, they're really frustrated with him because they know what they need to do, and he keeps going in there and like, well. In the end, what happens? It doesn't get signed. It doesn't get pushed through, and we're at where we're at right now. One guy ruined it for everybody. One guy ruined it for everybody. It's maddening. It's frustrating. And I say one guy, I mean, everyone at this point was pretty much on the same boat, except this guy that Sunuu sends through is just like, making a mess. Anyway, I'm not wording it half as well as the New York Times does, so please read that. It is an incredible read. You're just like, ah! But it really gives a great timeline of what's going on during that time. So there's this decade where we were trying to get, forgive me, our shit together. We were trying to get it all together, and we just blew it, absolutely blew it. And again, we had 60 nations willing to work together. Like, this was a global event, a willingness to get it together. And so if one of your questions might be, can we get our stuff together enough to save the world? This is a great opportunity to maybe research and try and see, can we do this again, but better, and not have some D-bag named Bromley going in there and throwing a wrench in the works? I don't know. So a lot of times we want to argue and say, you know, what was it? So in other words, we want to blame a political party for this, or we want to blame a company for this. But in the end, like, as a whole, we had the opportunity and we blew it. So we can point fingers, but in the end, this is still on us. And I say us, I was not there. I mean, but humans as a whole, we had the opportunity and it didn't get done. So can we do it again? Is there another opportunity? We only have 11 years. Can we do it? There is potential. There is potential that we can save ourselves. So anywho, that being the case, that's what that article is about. I highly suggest reading it. If you want to do a research project on that particular topic, I am all for it. Please do. Let's see here. So again, go through the readings. The 25 environmental concerns. We have air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, climate change, global warming, deforestation. By the way, and I know I've mentioned this before, I would love somebody to do some research on the Amazon forest and Brazil and what they're doing there, and really looking into understanding how our need for cell phones and computers and laptops and all the next, the next cool thing, how that's destroying the environment. And what we might be able to do about it. A lot of times companies say, oh, I'm not buying from people who pull from the Amazon, because that's their mining. They're not deforesting. And they're pulling up a lot of things that we need for phones and computers. And businesses will say, I never pull from those people from the Amazon. But deep down, they're potentially pulling from a black market that is pulling from there. So anyway, if you want to cover that topic, message me. I have a great, it's called Trafficking is the name of the show, and it's about the Amazon forest, and I highly suggest watching it. And if I could get it, I would put it here. If I find it, I will. Anywho, so there's all kinds of different things. Loss of biodiversity. Hawaii is a big one, where a lot of construction and the stuff falls down from the hills, and it absolutely destroys the environment in the ocean, and what happens there. So house and industrial waste, that kind of goes hand in hand. Mining, again, mining in the Amazon. Natural resource depletion. Y'all were there. There's a lot of us and there's not a lot of land. And I thought about this the other day. I had to get a lot of pizzas for this event, because I work at Chico State, and we just threw a pizza party, and I had to get 10 pizzas for like a gathering of people. And I thought, this is a very small group of people, and the amount of food, and as I'm eating this pizza, I'm looking at the pepperonis, and I'm thinking about having to make the pepperonis with the meat, and like how many animals it took. Like, it really went far. This is my life. This is how my brain thinks. And during that time, I was just thinking, like, wow, imagine having to feed the world. And then that kind of brings me to that topic of the destruction of the world. Like, how do you feed people? And if any of you had seen there was a C-SPAN where one of the guys had to read through a list of the things we would have to do if there was a huge disaster. And he had to stop. He's like, oh God, in the middle of this, because of the things that we have to do. And at what point we can't save everybody. So what do we do, right? So this is where my brain goes. And, what are our solutions? What are we going to do? And how do we feed all the people? And, not everyone's being fed as it is. And what do we do? And so much food is going to waste. So these are just things that pop into my head. And I like to give it to you to find, like, I can't think of all the things, but you have an opportunity. What kind of answers can you come up with? So I don't know. We have nuclear issues, natural disasters, all these wonderful things, agricultural pollution. Some of you are in ag, and I'm totally curious, like if you end up on a topic like this, like what do you do in ag to help with agricultural pollution? Or is it I have to feed the people, I'm gonna do what I need to do? I have no idea. But these are just great questions that I'm asking. Is that one of the 5 things? If we can fix that, how do we fix that? So anyway, these are just things that I would love you to take a look at. So littering and landfills. I remember when Paradise burned and they had the big trucks coming down with all our houses in them. It's like every time a truck came by, I'm like, that's probably part of my house. And then I thought, where's that all going? And then there's those landfills. I'm like, what do the landfills look like? How are we fixing those? So I mean, these are where my brain goes. And this is not to like make it heavy in here, but here's our problem. How do we create a solution? This is what I'm giving to you. What are the solutions that you could think of? And it could be a wild ass idea. Like if we had a machine to do such and such, because you might be able to be the one to make the machine. I don't know. We have so many opportunities at this moment in time to be creative and try new things. Right now, you can see they're trying to put nets out in the ocean to bring as much plastic up as they can. They have some things where the nets are actually, gathering some of those microplastics. Like, what are we doing and what can we do? As human beings, we need a purpose, and maybe our purpose is to save ourselves. And what's the thing that we're going to do? What is the thing that maybe you would love to spend the rest of your life trying to find a solution to? Like, maybe you can save humanity. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe this one project is that thing that you didn't even mean to do anything big with it, but it became something big. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. You could make the world better very, very easily and very, very quickly with this particular assignment. So anyway, go ahead and take some time on that discussion and really kind of think of those 5, picking 5 of these environmental concerns. What's something that we can address? What's a solution that maybe you're already doing? What's something that you would suggest? Can we all maybe be willing to try it? I remember I was married to a guy at one point who I would recycle everything all the time. And then I would see him throw stuff in the garbage and I get so angry, like, come on, man, like, how hard is it to just put it in another bin? And then there's the argument, like, does recycling really, work? And well, if recycling doesn't really work, what are some alternatives? Do we have to use plastic? Can we use other things? Like, I don't know. Think about when you drop a plastic bottle versus when you drop a glass bottle, right? So there was a time when, we had Coca-Cola in glass bottles. I don't know. Maybe there's more people, so we need the plastic to make it easier. Anyway, my brain goes off in places. So you might have a solution. By the way, side note, glass is the best thing to recycle. You can recycle it all the time, consistently, and nothing gets lost. This is why glass is actually really cool. Like, dangerous as well, but at the same time, what's really cool about it is you can consistently recycle it and it never loses anything. So anyway, side note, I don't know if that helps you, light bulb, you have a solution for something, but anywho, that's pretty much all I have for this week. Short, sweet, and simple to the best of my abilities. Biggest thing is I really want you to think about your topic, okay? 3 topics that you are like, you're interested in, and then with those 3 topics, what are 3 questions? It's okay if you have like the same topic, but with a different question, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm sure you'll come up with something, but go ahead, and if you have questions, you can reach out. It's like, is this going to work? Is this going to work? And again, you don't have to have your final topic until the end of week 9, which is next week. That will be your discussion. But I just want you to have an idea out there of what are you going to do, right? What do you want to research? And what do you want to spend the rest of the semester on? So anyway, thank you. That's all. Bye.